This episode of Chuffed Adventures is totally awesome, with a huge clean-up job for the filthy water tanks, and I get to work helping a little owl get back on his feet. So you can hear the pump going because I'm emptying the water tanks. They've gotten a little bit of a smell the last few days, and as you know, I've been changing the filters really regularly because it often gets quite green, and I thought it was a problem with the filter being clear and sun was getting in and affecting the water. I think it's actually coming from the tanks. I'll see if I can show you in there. The problem is our tanks are really hard to get to in terms of accessing the whole tank, so I was hoping I could just do a chemical treatment, but looking at this, I don't think a chemical treatment will quite cut it. So, let's see. You can kind of see in there, but you can see there's definitely sediment sitting in the bottom there, and there's kind of like a greeny colour. I don't want to have to take all this stuff off, but I think I have to. And I get to work in these lovely tight spaces, like under the table to do it. So, the joys of boat life, right? But it'll be a good job to get done because I really want to have clean drinking water, particularly when I'm not in the marina anymore, because nobody wants to be drinking anaerobic bacteria, and given the smell that's coming from that the back tank, which is the larger tank, I really suspect there's something kind of yucky growing in there, and yeah, I don't want to get people sick, or myself for that matter, so now's the time to do it when I've got a fresh supply. So I've started undoing the bolts. You can see I'm getting somewhere with it. It's taking forever though, and I've got like, I don't know how many, 60 or so to do. So I'm gonna go see if any of the guys have a adapter for the drill so that I can just them out, because that would be a lot quicker, and especially when I've got to reseal it and put them back. Trying to do each one by hand individually, you know, the sealant's going to be going off, and yeah, I think that would make life a hell of a lot easier if I can find one. So I'm going to go do that. It's only 8 AM. I've started nice and early, and come back. So in typical boat fashion, it took me all day to get my drill back. So it's now like 5 o'clock at night. It's raining a bunch. It's getting dark. But by the Lucy lights, I'm going to undo these bolts with this. It'll be much quicker, even though I could have done it by hand, given that I had all day, as it turns out. It'll be much nicer doing it this way. And then I figured once the portholes are off, I'll give it overnight to dry out, and then in the morning I can start vacuuming and cleaning and chlorinating, etc, etc. So it'll be good. Let's see how good this socket set and stuff works. Oh yeah, that's fast. So I'm just using this little scraper to get up under the sealant and just try and pry the plastic off. I'm going quite slow because I obviously don't want to crack the plastic, because that would not be fun, but essentially I'm just getting it under there like this, and I'll just go around each of the edges and slowly lift it off. Alright guys, the light's a bit bright, but we're in. I'm going to show you inside. Firstly, that's going pretty yucky again. And then there's this. So obviously there's a fair bit of water in there. But that's pretty nasty, whatever it is. Yeah. I don't want to drink that. And it's everywhere. So my original plan was to drain these, sorry, so that I could you know, drain it enough and then leave it overnight to dry out a bit more before I vacuumed it. I do have a wet to dry vacuum, so it's not the end of the world, but there's still a lot of water in there, and I think because the pipe actually sits a little bit off the ground level, you know, to stop it getting blocked by sediment, that it might not drain much more than what it has. But I'll wait till tomorrow to vacuum either way because it's a big drain on the batteries and there is absolutely no sun whatsoever right now. Alright, I got my bilge pump. It's a really pretty morning. I don't know if you can see out there. There you go. It's like 6-ish. So I'm getting an early start so I can dry the tanks out. And I'm just going to set this up and then I can suck all the water out and start cleaning. I'm going to like put a tie on the hose out there too to make sure it doesn't come sucking back into the boat, because that would be far from ideal. I have to wait for the sun to come up a bit more because my vacuum cleaner won't work because I don't have enough battery charge. So it's coming out. So I'll just give, I'll wait an hour and then I'll start doing more cleaning. But life. I could start the engine, but given it's 6 AM, I would feel quite guilty for my neighbours if I have the engine and vacuum and bilge pumps and all that going. So I'll wait a little bit. Doesn't seem to be working so great. Alright, I'm going to try this one instead. That other bilge pump didn't seem to really be cutting it. Maybe it has to be really submerged because the water's pretty shallow in there. I just went to plug this one in. That ain't gonna plug into anything. Bilge pump idea not working so well. I suspect with the first bilge pump it really needs to be underwater. Second one obviously doesn't have an attachment, which I'm going to need to fix because although there's a third electric bilge pump, it's permanently in one compartment. So yeah, I'll look into that. So I'm just going to wet dry vacuum it instead. It's probably just a little messier and whatnot, but yeah. And I'm going to have to turn the engine on. So between the vacuum and the engine, it's going to be super loud, so I'm not going to record it. But I'll show you as I get closer to the end how it all goes. So, the boat is such a mess, don't look, but counterintuitive, but I have a hose in the boat. I have used a bit of chlorine. I used it at a 1/8 cup per 10 gallons. It's really loud in here because I got the water pump on, the vacuum's been going, the engine's going so that I can keep the vacuum going, etc. But yeah, I chlorined the tank and cleaned it. They say to leave it for 4 hours. I've only left it for an hour because I'm paranoid about the aluminium tanks. I just don't want to cause more corrosion. It's already pitted. I'm going to keep hosing them out while the water pump keeps going just to drain, 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 clean, clean, clean. Then I'm going to let them dry out a little bit, re-vacuum with the wet to dry vacuum, maybe rinse again and then fill them. So it'll be busy, but it'll be good. I just realised the tank goes all the way back here. I found a little hole in this one. So I'm going to have to undo this as well because, yeah, that's definitely got some dirt in it. Well, the sealant came off easy on that one. And this is why you should do all your portholes. There is literally like, look at this. Like, full on. That is not good. This is crazy. I don't even have words. I mean, that's like a quarter of a bucket. Alright, back to cleaning. This is why things always take forever on a boat. I'm pretty sure the intake now is blocked for the pump, so I've got to get in there and maybe just backwards and then use the pump to drain these a little more and then re-vacuum them. Glad I started at 6. Alright, got it undone. I think it's unblocked. Look at all the bruises I've got. Oh man. Alright, it's starting to get hot. But I'm close. I just push through. That's good, it's at least trying to suck. Hopefully I got the blockage out. So essentially I'm just vacuuming and rinsing, vacuuming, rinsing, vacuuming, rinsing. And I'll show you how it all finishes in the end, hopefully clean tanks. So they're still not perfectly clean, I'll do a few more rinses, but to give you a bit of an idea, you can see that there is quite a bit of pitting in the tanks. Unfortunately, there's not much you can do about that except filter your water and try and stop chlorine going in. So I'll have a good inspection, note any ones that are, you know, particularly big, and just check all the tanks, and then just keep doing a couple more flushes. Good morning. I am just preparing the boat because I actually have a little owl coming to visit me that has hurt its leg. So I think it could have a fracture by the description. So I've got a few things ready. Mainly just some anesthetic, pain relief, and some bandaging material. And we'll see what we can do on the boat. Should be another little weird boat surgery. I was planning on doing some video editing before the owl got here, but a friend's dog's coming down now who was really sick last night. Apparently she kind of had a convulsion, so I give her a check over as well. So it's going to be a busy morning. And how long have you had him?
This will be day 3.
Okay.
We got him late on day 1.
He does have a very slight click, like essentially in this little wrist bit.
Yep.
So that's my only, like, especially compared to this other side. I suspect it might be in the joint though, because the long bones feel okay.
When examining a bird for possible fractures, it's important to watch them standing. Often the way the wings drop give you a clue as to what's going on and where. This little owl had a fractured leg, so I began with a soft bandage layer and then used a bent up piece of thick cardboard to act as a splint for the fracture site. The leg was then wrapped in a bandage called vet wrap, which adheres to itself but not to his lovely little feathers, so it's perfect for bird medicine. This little fellow is so light that this soft bandage will stabilise his fracture enough without the need for heavy casting material.
Andre's bring me some.
Yeah. I personally really like meloxicam in birds. A lot of vets here use dexamethasone, which is fine in most animals, but in birds it basically just kills their immune system like that. So I try to avoid it if I can. This is 180
Can you get that here?
Yes. So this is meloxicam. This is the injectable, but it comes in like honey flavoured oral. So it's also really easy to get.
In Costa Rica?
Yeah. So it's really easy to get animals to take it because, you know, I used to have the koalas like, you know, want it, which is nice.
I need to write that.
Means the monkeys might steal it. But
Not only is the bandage practical, but I think it looks pretty cute too. Thankfully his other injuries are not so serious, so hopefully we can get him right as rain, and you'll find out a little more later in the episode.
okay, so little Lucy we suspect might have got a toad last night because she is seemingly back to normal this morning, but last night had a seizure, was frothing a lot from the mouth, had a little bit of blood around her mouth, and they're all signs of toad toxicity because it causes local irritation. So she scratches her mouth, and that causes bleeding. And then it's a neurotoxin as well, so that's where they start to have seizures and kind of get high, for want of a better word. And then our little owl friend, oh my god, so cute. I suspect he was hit by a car, just given the type of injuries he has. But he has a fractured tibiotarsus, which is there on a birdie. And he also has some blood in his eyes, but the back of his eyes, the retinas are completely normal, which is good. So that blood will just reabsorb over the next few days. He will probably have to have that splint on for 2 to 4 weeks. I'm hoping I can go back out and check him. If not, a local vet is going out there as well to check some of the animals. So yeah, and he's in good hands. Carol is an amazing wildlife carer, so he'll be very, very well looked after. And I've also started him on some anti-inflammatories and pain relief. So hopefully everybody feels better soon. All before 9 a.m. So Chuffed life is never boring, that's for sure.
After doing a minor repair on myself, spending a few nights surfing in Pavones, which you'll see more of next time, I ended up getting a phone call that there was another animal needing my help back in Golfito.
Alright, I'm just waiting for my ride, which is nearly here, to go see another turtle. So She's been hit in the past with a propeller and has been floating, so she's just recently been caught. So we'll head over and see what we can do for her. There's my ride coming now.
This lovely green sea turtle had an old boat strike wound on her carapace, but was also suffering from floater syndrome, meaning she has positive buoyancy and can't dive. It's always really hard to know if they are struck by the boat because they're floating, or if they're floating because they've been struck by the boat.
Alright, so we've just given her an antibiotic shot. Looks like she has some internal fluid, which makes me worry there's a puncture through the shell into kind of the abdominal cavity. And given she's floating at the moment in the water and can't dive down, that's probably what's happened. So she'll be going to the turtle hospital tomorrow, which means she'll be getting some really good treatment there. So for now, we've just kind of given her some stuff to make her stable, and we'll go from there. I'll let you know how she goes though. Alright, the tanks are clean! Woo! I vacuumed them out again after they dried out for a few days. And now to seal. And then I'll be done. Well, refill, then done. It's been a big job, but totally worth it. I'm very much looking forward to not having to jump over the deck every time I need to fill my water bottle. Alright, so all the sealant's done. It's all dried. So now I just need to fill the tanks and I'll be done. It's good to have that finished. Alright, so I just wanted to give you guys an idea of the timeline of the water tanks, just because it's kind of funny boat life. I started them 7 days ago. My drill was at someone's workshop who needed to borrow it. So I started, realised I didn't have the drill, waited till the next day, got my drill back, then undid all the tanks, cleaned them that day, went to reseal it, and my sealant had set. So the next day I went and found sealant, but by the time I got to the shops and found it and did all that, it was kind of late in the afternoon, so then I didn't do it. And the next day I went to the beach, finally got back, re-vacuumed it, which actually turned out to be good to let it dry a few days. And now I've sealed it, and I went to fill the water tanks, and the water coming out of the tap here is brown because of all the rain we had last night and a bit of a landslide up in the mountains. So I'm not refilling them today. I'll do that tomorrow. So it's very typical of a boat job where it just tends to take a little bit of time. A good way to practice some patience.
The little owl came in for a second checkup, and the fracture had stabilised really well. He was developing some mild inflammation from having all his weight on one foot, but thankfully, only 3 weeks later he was released back into the wild by Carol and her team. He has since been seen flying around the trees, and the green sea turtle is also doing well in hospital, slowly but surely recovering. Next episode surfs up as I head back to Pavonis to work on my surfing techniques, and of course end up with a patient and a bunch of vet nurses from the hostel. Until next time, stay chuffed everybody.